Hey, everybody. Poo emoji on screen, amazing. So anyways, I only have 5 minutes, as Rachel keeps telling me. But before we get started, I really need to get something off my chest. I need to apologize to each and every person in this room. The reason being is if you've heard the following, if the clicker worked, I'm sorry, I didn't understand. On one of these, a phone-based automated assistant, there's a decent chance that I may have had something to do with that. So 15 years ago, when we started working on the first commercial speech recognition systems, which were all phone-based, we did not have the goal in mind of aggravating everyone and putting me on a collision course to apologize in front of a room full of a few hundred people. We really did want to make Star Trek come to life and make people talk to everything. And in the late 2000s, we actually got the opportunity to do that with mobile phones. So I built one of the first enterprise voice assistants. You guys, of course, know Siri, Cortana. We did millions of conversations, but we learned something very, very disturbing along the way. We learned that people don't really want to talk to their mobile devices. So there's billions and millions of conversations that are happening via mobile voice communications, but it turns out this is pretty much sub 1% of overall usage. So I spent over 15 years of my career trying to get people to talk to stuff. I got the best device in the world to get them to talk to it, and it turned out they didn't want to talk to it. This was pretty disturbing. So I went looking for answers, and I reread Marshall McLuhan. The guy's been telling the future of media and technology for over 50 years, and he talks about voice communications. He talks about the telephone, which is really synchronous voice communication, as requiring complete participation, unlike text. Pretty obvious, I think. But then he goes on to say that we resent this because we're beings of fragmentary attention. He said this over 50 years ago. Think about how much more fragmented our attention is today. And so I think this goes some way towards explaining why this motion, thumbs tapping on a glass screen, has become the lingua franca of mobile. Some people talk about messaging eating mobile. We, of course, all know that messaging overtook social to be the most often used activity on our mobile phones. And because of this, that should animate, I decided to start a company called Automat. But I'm not really here to pitch you on the company. I just want you to know that I'm all in on this. And I have lots and lots of friends. So these are a bunch of the startups that have started in the messaging space and the bot space. But it's also really important to know that over just the last 4 months, all of these big 4 companies have opened up their messaging platforms to allow developers and startups to build bots on top of them. What's missing here, of course, is Kik and Slack, who actually opened up their platforms over a year in advance of these companies. So this is really happening. I've mentioned bots a few times. I haven't really defined it. For me, bots is very much about modern mobile messaging. Voice assistants, as we talked about, are not bots. Modern mobile messaging is pictures, emoji, animated GIFs. Bots are just the apps of messaging. But of course, there's that pesky text bar at the bottom where you can just type, and because of that, you need to add some level of artificial intelligence. Things like natural language understanding, reasoning, inference, predictive machine learning, etc., to be able to do a good job when someone does type. So I want to leave you with 2 ideas here today. The first is in the short term, bots are going to displace, not replace, but displace certain types of applications and change our behavior. And in the long term, and this is the big idea, bots are going to learn from people. So in the short term, here's the problem. This is the App Store, too much stuff, nobody downloads it. This stat is over 2 years old, it's almost certainly worse now. 65% of people download 0 applications in a given month. And if you want to reach them, you might be thinking, well, what about the other 35%? Well, it turns out that 62% of that other 35% is all Facebook. So now how are you going to reach them? I know there's somebody out there grumbling, saying, well, the web, I can reach them on the web. Well, we've been researching and checking with people in their 20s and going on their phones, and they have about 10 apps, fitness app, music app, messaging apps, and I ask them, you must use the web a lot, right? And they say things like this to me, oh, you mean that thing when I click, it opens? Yeah, I hate that thing. That thing that's been driving innovation, commerce, innovation for the last 25 years, hate it. So how are you going to reach them? So I want to leave you with the idea that bots, which are the apps of messaging, require no download. You can click a link, you can find them in the messaging app. They're viral, easy to share. Messaging is a communal experience. Multiple people can be having a conversation with a bot at the same time. They work on mobile and desktop. Slack is mobile and desktop. Facebook Messenger has a great desktop experience. Very easy to move seamlessly between the 2 worlds. And then finally, you've got the ability to seamlessly transition between human and AI. What do I mean by that? Let's say I want to go buy a gift for someone at my favorite retailer, Frank and Oak, and I might have a conversation with a person, ask about the preferences of the person that I'm buying for, and then a smart bot with predictive machine learning might make a recommendation. But maybe it's the other way around. Maybe the bot asks me the questions, and that leaves a creative human with personal taste and style to give me a recommendation. There's lots of rich design patterns that are going to occur now that we have the ability to mix humans and AI in the same messaging thread. But the thing that's really exciting about this for me is that this creates a very rich machine learning infrastructure. Every company in the world is going to want to start doing messaging so that they can start to learn from those conversations with humans and AI in them. In the enterprise, you're going to have HR bots and all kinds of things that answer all the mundane questions that happen inside companies around payroll and expenses and benefits and all that stuff. And in the consumer space, you're going to have conversations with brands that are more relevant, more personal, more meaningful to you over time. So I hope I've given you just a small taste of why bots are not poo emoji. I'm pretty excited about this space, maybe not quite as excited as these guys. If this slide comes up. Can I have my last slide, please? They're pretty excited. I was going to dance off the stage. If I've intrigued you at all, please check out automat.ai, have a conversation with us there, sign up for our private beta. Thank you very much. Have a great festival.